The rain hammered against the old bay window, like it was trying to break in and rewrite the night. Alex Thompson stood in the middle of his living room, the glow of the floor lamp turning the tears on Elena's cheeks into tiny diamonds. His 6-year-old daughter, Mia, was humming off-key in her bedroom down the hall, completely unaware that her whole world was about to stretch open. "You're pregnant," Alex said, the words scraping out of him like gravel. His hands hung useless at his sides. "It's mine." Elena didn't answer right away. She just looked at him, really looked. The way she had the first time she'd seen the cracks in his armor. Then she reached behind her, fingers brushing the doorknob. "Close the door, Alex." The latch clicked. The sound was small, but it felt like the whole house exhaled. Outside, the rain kept falling. Inside, everything changed. 2 years earlier, the same house had smelled like grief and burnt toast. Alex's wife, Sarah, had died on a slick highway at 2:17 a.m. while driving home from her night shift at the hospital. The police officer who knocked on the door at dawn had been gentle, but gentle doesn't matter when the words are, "I'm sorry." Mia had been 4. She still asked sometimes why Mommy's side of the bed stayed cold. Alex never had an answer that didn't taste like rust. He kept going for Mia. That was the only rule. He fixed cars at the shop on Maple Street, came home, made Dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets, read the Gruffalo until his voice cracked, then lay awake until the sky turned the color of old bruises. Friends tried to set him up. He smiled politely and changed the subject. Dating felt like cheating on a ghost. Then Elena Ramirez moved into the little blue house across the street. She was 30, a pediatric nurse who'd taken a job at the children's clinic downtown after her own messy divorce. No kids, just a rescue mutt named Pickles and a laugh that carried across the cull. D-sack when she was watering her sad patch of sunflowers. Alex noticed her the way you notice a new song on the radio. First you're annoyed it's stuck in your head. Then you're humming it in the shower. The first real conversation happened because of Maya's scraped knee. It was a Saturday in late September. Mia had taken a header off her bike in the driveway. Alex was trying to clean the gravel out of her skin, while she screamed like the world was ending. Elena appeared on the sidewalk carrying a first aid kit like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. "I'm a nurse," she said, crouching down, "and I have cartoon band-aids. The good kind, with the dinosaurs." Mia stopped crying long enough to inspect the box. "T-Rex or Stegosaurus?" "T-Rex for bravery," Elena answered, already gloved up. Her voice was calm, steady, the kind of voice that made scared kids believe the world might still be okay. Alex watched her work. Gentle hands, no pity. When she was done, Maya hugged her like they'd known each other forever. "You're good with her," Alex said later, standing awkwardly on the sidewalk while Elena packed up. Elena shrugged. "I like kids who still believe band-aids fix everything." He didn't know what made him say it. Maybe the way the autumn light caught the gold in her dark hair. Maybe the fact that for 3 whole minutes he hadn't thought about Sarah. "I'm Alex. This is, well, you met the tiny tornado." Elena, she smiled, small and careful, like she was testing whether the smile still fit. "Nice to meet you, Alex." After that, she became part of the scenery in the best way. She'd wave when he pulled into the driveway after work. Sometimes she brought over leftover tamales because I always make too many. Mia started calling her Miss Ellie and asking if she could come over to draw. Alex told himself it was neighbor stuff, safe, harmless. But safe things don't keep you awake at night. The first time they really talked, past the weather and the school schedule, was the night of the school carnival. Maya had won a goldfish she named Spaghetti. Alex was carrying the plastic bag like it was nuclear material while Mia skipped ahead singing the Baby Shark song at maximum volume. Elena found them at the cotton candy stand. "Rough night?" she asked, nodding at the fish. "His name is Spaghetti and he's already plotting world domination," Alex said. Elena laughed, and something in Alex's chest cracked open like a sidewalk after a hard freeze. They ended up on the bleachers watching the fireworks. Mia fell asleep against Alex's shoulder, goldfish bowl balanced on her lap. The sky exploded in red and gold, and Elena's knee brushed his. "I was married once," she said quietly, not looking at him. "He left when things got hard. Turns out for better or worse, had an expiration date." Alex swallowed. "Sarah, my wife, she didn't get to choose. Car accident. 2 years ago, Elena turned then. Her eyes were soft but not sorry. Just seeing him, that's brutal. Yeah. They sat in silence while the sky burned above them. When the last firework faded, Elena reached over and squeezed his hand once. Quick, no big declaration. Just I'm here. That touch stayed on his skin for days. Winter came early that year. Snow piled up against the houses like it was trying to bury the neighborhood. One Friday night, Mia had a fever that wouldn't break. Alex was losing his mind, calling the after-hours nurse line, pacing, whispering bargains to a god he wasn't sure still listened. Elena showed up at 10:30 with a bag of supplies and zero drama. I heard her coughing earlier, she said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Figured you might need backup. She took Mia's temperature, dosed her with medicine, made her a cool cloth for her forehead. Then she made Alex sit down and drink the tea she'd brought in a thermos. You're no good to her if you pass out, she told him. He watched her move around his kitchen like she belonged there. Something dangerous bloomed in his chest, warm, terrifying, alive. At 2 in the morning, Mia finally fell into a real sleep. Elena was on the couch, legs tucked under her, reading one of Maya's picture books by lamplight. Alex sat across from her, elbows on his knees. I don't know how to do this, he said suddenly. Any of it. Being a dad alone. Being anything else. Elena closed the book. Nobody does. We just keep showing up. He looked at her then. Really looked. The shadows under her eyes from a long shift. The way her hair was coming out of its braid. The small scar on her collarbone she'd gotten from a childhood bike crash. I'm scared all the time, he whispered. I know. She reached over and took his hand again. This time she didn't let go. The kiss happened like breathing, slow then all at once. Her mouth was soft and tasted like the honey in the tea. His hands found her waist, like they'd been waiting years to remember what a woman felt like. They moved to his bedroom quietly, careful not to wake Mia. Clothes came off like secrets finally told. When he sank into her, it felt like coming home and falling off a cliff at the same time. Afterward, she lay curled against his chest, tracing the tattoo of Sarah's handwriting on his ribs. Always. I'm not trying to replace her, Elena said into the dark. I know, but I'm not going to be a ghost either, Alex. He kissed her forehead. I don't want you to be. They fell asleep like that, tangled up in new possibilities. Morning brought reality like a slap. Mia woke up feeling better and wanted pancakes. Alex made them while Elena slipped out the back door like a teenager avoiding parents. They didn't talk about it for 3 days. Then 4. Then a week. He saw her across the street taking out the trash and his stomach flipped. She waved like nothing had happened. He waved back, hating himself. The distance grew. Not because he didn't want her. He wanted her so much it scared the hell out of him. But every time he thought about letting her all the way in, Sarah's face appeared. The way she used to dance with Mia in the kitchen. The way she'd say, I love our little life right before bed. He was terrified of loving someone new and losing them too. Or worse, terrified that loving Elena meant he was finally letting Sarah go. So he pulled away. Polite waves. Small talk about the weather. Mia kept asking when Miss Ellie was coming over to draw again. Alex didn't have an answer. Elena didn't push. That might have been what hurt most. Winter turned to spring. The sunflowers in Elena's yard grew tall and bright. Alex watched them from his window like they were personal accusations. Then came the night of the school play. Mia was a sunflower in the kindergarten production of The Garden of Good Manners. She had 3 lines and a costume made of yellow poster board and pipe cleaners. Alex sat in the 3rd row, phone ready to record, heart too big for his chest. Elena was there too in the back, because Mia had personally invited her with a glitter-covered card that said, You are my favorite growed up. After the show, Maya ran straight to Elena and hugged her around the waist. You came. I wouldn't miss it, sunflower. Alex stood a few feet away, feeling like an intruder in his own life. Later in the parking lot, Elena helped Mia into the car while Alex loaded the giant poster, board costume into the trunk. LX, Elena said quietly, when Mia was buckled in and singing to herself. I'm not asking for anything you can't give, but I miss you, and I think you miss me too. He couldn't look at her. It's complicated. Life is complicated. People who care about each other make it less so. She waited. He said nothing. Elena nodded once, like she'd expected it. Okay. Take care of yourself. Alex, she walked away. The streetlights caught the shine of tears on her cheeks. That night, after Mia was asleep, Alex sat on the porch with a beer he didn't drink. The blue house across the street had one light on in the kitchen. He could see Elena moving around, probably making tea. He almost went over. Almost. Instead, he went inside and cried for the first time since the funeral. 3 weeks later, Elena showed up on his doorstep at 7:30 p.m. She looked different, paler, eyes huge. "Can I come in?" He stepped aside. Mia was in the bath, singing "F Let It Go" at the top of her lungs. Elena didn't sit. She stood in the middle of the living room, hands twisting the strap of her bag. "I'm pregnant, Alex." The world stopped spinning. He stared at her, at the way her sweater hung loose over her stomach like it was trying to hide something, at the slight tremble in her lower lip. "It's mine." The question came out raw. She looked at him for a long second, then she reached behind her and closed the door. "Yes," she said, "it's yours, and before you say anything else, before you disappear again, I need you to know I'm keeping this baby. I'm terrified. I'm angry at you for pulling away, but I'm also happy. Because this little life didn't ask to be born into our mess, but here it is. And I want it, with or without you." Her voice cracked on the last word. Alex felt like he'd been punched in the soul. He took one step, then another, until he was close enough to see the faint freckles across her nose that only showed up in summer. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so damn sorry, Elena." She shook her head. "Sorry doesn't make a family. No, but love does. And I do love you. I've been too chicken shit to say it, but I do. I think I started loving you the day you showed up with Dinosaur Band-Aids." Tears spilled over her lashes. "Then why did you leave me standing in that parking lot?" "Because I was scared I'd ruin you the way I ruin everything I touch. Because I thought loving you meant forgetting her. But I was wrong. Loving you doesn't erase Sarah. It just makes the hole in my chest a little smaller." Elena let out a shaky laugh sob. "You're an idiot, Alex Thompson." "Yeah, but I'm your idiot. If you'll still have me." She stepped into his arms then. He held her like she might vanish. Like if he let go, the last 2 years would swallow him whole again. "I'm keeping the baby," she said against his chest. "Good, because I'm keeping you. Both of you." Maya's voice floated down the hall. "Daddy, I'm a prune." Alex pulled back just enough to look at Elena. "We have to tell her." Elena smiled, small and brave. "Yeah, but maybe after I stop looking like I've been crying for 3 days." They told Mia the next weekend. Over pancakes shaped like hearts because Elena insisted. Maya listened with wide eyes, fork paused halfway to her mouth. "So I'm getting a brother or sister. Or sibling," Elena said gently. "We don't know yet." Mia considered this. "Will they like dinosaurs?" "Probably. They'll have you as a big sister." Maya's face split into the biggest grin Alex had ever seen. "I'm gonna be the best big sister ever. I'll teach them how to ride a bike, and how to eat ice cream without getting brain freeze." And she launched herself at Elena, hugging her around the middle. "Thank you for growing my baby, Miss Ellie." Elena's eyes filled again. She looked at Alex over Maya's head. "We're doing this." The next months weren't easy. Morning sickness hit Elena like a freight train. Alex learned to keep ginger ale and saltines in the shop fridge. Maya drew pictures of the baby with giant heads and tiny bodies. Sarah's parents called. Awkward, careful conversations that ended with, "We just want you to be happy, son." Alex wasn't sure they meant it, but he took it anyway. There was one terrifying night at 22 weeks when Elena started bleeding. They sat in the ER for 6 hours while monitors beeped and doctors used words like, "threatened miscarriage." Alex held her hand so tight he left bruises. When the doctor finally said the baby was okay, just a subchorionic hematoma that would likely resolve, Alex cried in the hospital bathroom like a child. Elena found him there. She wrapped her arms around him from behind. "Hey," she whispered. "We're still here, all 3 of us." He turned and kissed her like the world was ending and beginning at the same time. The baby, a girl, came on a crisp October morning, exactly 2 years and 1 week after Sarah's accident. They named her Hope Sarah Thompson. Maya held her little sister in the hospital room like she was made of glass and miracles. "She's so tiny, but she's loud, like me." Alex stood by the bed, one arm around Elena, the other hand resting on Hope's dark head. Elena looked exhausted and radiant, the way only new mothers can. I was wrong, she said softly. About what? About doing this with or without you. I couldn't have. Not really. You're my person, Alex. The one who makes the hard days bearable. He kissed her temple. And you're mine. The one who makes the good days possible. Later that night, when the room was quiet and Hope was sleeping in her bassinet, Mia curled up on the pull-out couch with her favorite stuffed dinosaur. Alex sat in the chair beside Elena's bed, watching his family sleep. He thought about the man he'd been 2 years ago. Hollow, angry, surviving. He thought about the woman across the street, who'd shown up with band-aids and patience and a heart big enough to hold all his broken pieces. He thought about the little girl who would grow up knowing she was wanted, loved, chosen. And for the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel like something to survive. It felt like something to run toward. If you've stayed with this story until the very end, thank you. Stories like this, about second chances, messy love, and the families we choose, remind us that healing doesn't look the same for everyone, but it's always possible when we let people in. If this touched something in your heart, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps these kinds of stories reach more people who need them. And if you want more tales of hope, heartbreak, and the beautiful chaos of real love, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I've got so many more waiting for you. Drop it in the comments if you believe in new beginnings. Tell me, what's the scariest but best risk you've ever taken for love? Until next time, keep your heart open. The right people are worth closing the door for.